Welcome. Welcome, everyone. I'm just here by myself, waiting for the guest, but we're going to have a really good conversation in a moment. And let me remind you, if you haven't purchased your conference ticket yet, I think you have around a week or so time to do that. There you go. Conference ticket link in the chat. Okay, let's see. Welcome. People coming in. All right. So I'm going to have a conversation with one of our Mediterranean friends as part of the EODF community. It's going to be Stelio from Italy, based in Barcelona. Stelio, you can introduce yourself better. Hey, Stelio.
Hello there. So nice being here with you.
Likewise. I always feel like every time we speak that there's so much energy and joy that comes from you. And also lots of passion that speaks to your roots, I believe. And yeah, could you perhaps introduce yourself and also what your relationship is with EODF before we jump into conversation about open space technology as well as beautiful work week next month in Milan?
All right. So thank you for having me again. I'm just many people that probably are listening to this. I'm a practitioner in organizational design and development, among other things, but let's focus on this. And I've been involved in EODF since 11 years ago. When I was
Wow.
the first time, it was in Vienna. We were a few people. I had the pleasure to see it growing, to take it or go with it in different countries. So it's something that I really have a family feeling for. Actually, when we ran the first conference in Italy, it was 2016. We changed. It was EODF, was European Organizational Design Forum. For the first time, we slashed in the stickers. We slashed forum and we put family, the European Organizational Design family. And then there was a lot of discussion. Of course, it's a strange choice. Never mind. We're Italian, so
I
I'm
was
from
about to say you're
Sicily.
Italian, so everyone exactly. So
I'm from Sicily. I can speak about family. But yeah, this is what I do.
Oh, let's see. I'm not sure what happened with the connection, but Stadio just disappeared. Let's give it a moment and hope whether he could come back. Let's see. This is always the thing with technology, isn't it? You can test it a million times, but in the moment supreme, it just does what it wants to do. Let's give it a moment. Okay. Well, whilst you're still here and we're waiting for Stelio to return, what might be good to know is the fact that we asked to have this conversation with Stelio has everything to do with the conference which takes place next month, the 15th and the 16th in Milan. And that was part of, this is going to be the second time in Italy, and that's part of what Stelio was referring to. The first time that the conference took place in Italy was back in 2016. Now, as part of that conference, I think half of the conference, or perhaps 1/3 of it, we leave open. What that basically means is we don't design or over-design the agenda, and we leave space open for whatever emerges, because the audience are work design practitioners. And off the back of that, hey, welcome back, Stelio. I was just filling up the time whilst you were finding your way back by explaining the link with 2016, first time that the conference took place in Italy. And now we return to Italy next month in Milan. And I was actually building a bridge to say that part of the conference, half of it, or maybe 1/3 of it, is usually left open and
Yeah.
don't over design the agenda. And I think that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about as part of open space technology. From the very first conference that I attended, I believe that was back in 2017 in Dortmund, I was blown away by how so many ideas just emerged from nothing, basically. Just the question
Yes.
of what's on top of your mind. We have an empty wall here, open wall space, and then just a few minutes and moments after, it was filled with ideas and an entire schedule, and people could walk in and out or move from one place to the other. And I was always really intrigued by how you carried that. So I was explaining that a little
Yeah.
bit, and I'd be really delighted for you to talk a little bit about that, and to also talk a bit about what is open space technology, what is your understanding of it,
Yeah.
and how do you bring that to life?
So first of all, it was fortunate that my system decided that didn't have any camera, so I stopped talking about myself, and now we switched to the ODF. So it's perfect. Sorry for leaving, but happy that I had to leave.
Oh, good.
And then this is also about open space, isn't it? Because I mean, for the people that already know about it, this law is the law of the 2 feet. So this idea that you bring yourself, you take yourself using your feet, your legs, where there is the major value exchange
Oh gosh, I think Stelio is out again. I'm not sure. Let me have a look. Okay, so it seems to be that Stelio froze, talking about emergent design, just reacting to what's happening in front of you. um, so let me carry on a little bit until he's back. Um, the idea behind the open space technology is really to create that space for anything that could emerge. And the law of 2 feet, or to be a bit more inclusive, the law of mobility, really stands for, you know, if you're joining a topic or a question that was initiated by someone, and you're halfway through the conversation or the session, and you're just not feeling it, the energy is not there for you, or you're just not no longer engaged, that there's nothing wrong with removing yourself from that conversation, and literally relocate yourself to another space and join that space. So that's the whole idea of the law of mobility, or at the time when it was established, it was called the law of 2 feet. And I, personally, that's what I've seen many times at the conference, is that I could come up with a topic, or some like other people come up with a topic or a question. We sign it up on the wall, and off the back of that, there's different rounds, and you decide in the first round to go to topic X. You join that topic, but after 10 minutes, you're like, this is not really for me, and you leave, and you basically join another topic that you feel you have more energy towards. And what really stands out for me, or what has stood out for me at the EODF conference so far, is how respected that is, in terms of, yeah, it's just really respected that no one takes offense when you leave. No one takes offense when you all of a sudden decide to join, of like, oh, why is this, am I your second choice, or is the topic I'm hosting your second or third or even fourth choice? There's just this openness and acceptance of, this is just how it, like, these are the rules that we've decided to go about, and how we engage with each other, and we go with the energy, and we follow the energy, and we allow people to flow with that energy. So that's what we've always integrated in our conferences. It's a shame that Stelio is still out. Oh, there he is again. Third time is a charm, Stelio.
Well,
Oh,
apologies are over to
oh, I can hear you now.
you. Okay. Can you
No
hear me
worries.
now? All
Yes.
right. I don't know what happens. It just froze the whole thing.
No worries.
Should
About
I keep
the
going with
law
open
of
space?
mobility. Yeah, so I explained the concept of the law of the 2 feet, or actually now to be a bit more inclusive, they changed it into the law of mobility, isn't it? So I've explained that concept. Can you share a bit more about open space technology beyond that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I started by that because I was coming and living, and yeah, I'm aficionado of open space since the standard version from Arizona Owen, and it evolved in many different streams, of course. So, well, open space technology is a social technology meant to leverage what Arizona Owen, I think 40 years ago now, noticed was the best part of a meeting, which was the coffee machine. It was the people
Yeah,
having conversations, emergent conversations among themselves. So it's having the right people and let them decide what's the time and the place to talk about. And so there are two books. One is it's actually, I don't remember the title, it's basically a manual about open space by Harrison Owen. And the other one is Wave Rider. Wave Rider is an amazing book, in my opinion, if you want to learn more about emergence, about really surfing what is appearing on the surface of the water. And of course, open space technology follows that by leveraging two archetypes, well, one archetype and one equally ancient principle, and the archetype is the circle. So power of the fact that we are in a space together, it's a sacred space to some extent. Of course, the word sacred, to be inclusive, can mean very different things to different walks of life and different cultures. But still, whatever it means for you, it is that. And you can feel it as you walk, as you sit in the circle, and as you walk at the center of the circle to propose your topic. And then it is
yeah,
designed to have these people sitting in a circle, and this is a powerful archetype. Again, you can see each other, you can sense the energy of the attention towards the center of this circle. And then when
yeah,
people propose a topic, which is how it works, so people can propose their topics following the invitation. I will get to that in a moment. When people do that, they walk toward the center of the circle, and that's a ritual. That's something that actually focuses all the attention around to that point, that moment, and you don't even have to pitch it. It doesn't you don't need that. So basically, this is the archetype of the circle. And then there is the power. The guiding principle is the power of the invitation, the power of letting people, once they understand why they've been convened, first to decide if they want to be part of that, and then to make what they feel needs to be made of it. And so there was this invitation. Normally in the events, it's implicit. It's the invitation to propose your contribution, topics, questions around the topic of the event. But then you can use open space technology to redesign a process, to discuss a complex issue in any organization. It's been done from 5 people to, I think, 3,000. So it's really flexible. And so basically, just to make it really simple, what happens is that people are convened by an invitation. They decide to be part of that. They meet each other in this circle, and then facilitated. And it's a difficult facilitation, I would say, because it's really unstructured. It's based on the sensitivity of the facilitator, really feeling the field
what does it
around you,
require beyond
the
that,
nuances.
being in touch? Yeah, what does it require as from a facilitator?
Yeah, it requires trust in the people, first of all. And that's not easy. I've seen many facilitators, when there is a long silence, not being able to resist that, to let it happen. And in the book by Owen, there are episodes of what it means. And he tells the story once of a woman in a real group that walked to the center of the circle and started to undress herself. And it was a very, but
Yeah,
in a strong way.
yeah,
And a facilitator needs to deal with anything that comes, and trust in the
yeah,
people. He didn't do anything. He left that happen. And the moment the woman started to cry, and the other people went, and the whole thing took care of itself. So that's the first thing. You need to trust the people that are there. Trust that facilitation is not necessarily direction, at least in this specific social technology. Then the other thing is, probably is connected. You need to have a good relationship with your ego, I think. You need to really feel that it's not about you. You're there to serve the group. and to go with the flow, what needs to happen, and trust the structure of the little structure that is there, including the silence. So if at some point, because again, people are convened, they start to propose topics, and of course they haven't prepared the topics. I really don't like the variation of open space where people are asked to start preparing the topics beforehand, and I have reasons for that. So what happens when people start to propose topics is that they need the time for the topic to arise, also because it arises in response to other topics they are hearing.
Yeah, it's like a snowball effect, isn't it?
Yeah, and there are moments in which it really starts to snowball, but there are also moments in which there is complete calmness and silence for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and you can see the facilitator starting to sweat. And most of the facilitators say, okay, we don't have any other topic, let's move to the next stage, which is composing the agenda together. Because at the beginning of the open space technology, the agenda is a white wall, it's blank, and
Yeah.
people then compose it, and there is a technique to agree when and where to speak about all the things that people proposed.
Yeah.
And if you really are able to hold it until you don't feel the pressure to stop it, the best things in my experience emerge out of that. The best session, the session that then become a plenary, and everybody goes to that session, often are the session that needed more time to be born.
Yeah, beautiful. What can you bring it a bit to life from your own experience and your own journey in that? Like, what were the things that you did, and then in hindsight, you were like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that," or the other way around, something you didn't do, and in hindsight, you're like, "Oh, I wish I did that. It would have contributed."
So the first thing that comes to my mind is that I shouldn't have allowed some settings, typically at events, to squeeze the open space into a limited, too much of a limited space or
Mm,
time.
yeah.
That really kills it. So
Mm,
you cannot give people 3 minutes to propose topics and then 15 minutes per topic. That's not open space anymore. It's another thing. I mean, let's say we're doing another thing, I'm good, but it's
yeah.
not open space anymore. Open space needs to be a carrying container for a merchant to happen, and that needs its own time and space. And we can talk about how much is enough, but still, it's not
Mm,
possible to squeeze it as it. I allowed it to happen a couple of times, and I say, "Can you
got
facilitate it? We have 45 minutes." Ugh. And
it.
I should have said just no.
Yeah.
That's one. The other thing that I actually liked as an experimentation was running open space technology online. And that's
Mm,
so interesting because, of course, if you read the books and the tales and the experiments and the techniques from Harrison Owen, there is nothing about that. It was
yeah.
before everything.
Different time. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it was a different world.
Yeah.
And now it's possible, and then you play with that. And actually, I had very nice experiences in running it online if you really embrace the same principles. So you allow people to move, you allow conversation to keep going even
Mhm.
after the time slot, and so there is a space for that to happen. The whole thing can be done, and it was amazing. Actually, I was skeptical, like there is no coffee machine here, but actually there is one. There is one in our hearts and our heads, and it can work, and it was very nice.
Nice. Oh,
Tens of people, huh? Tens of people.
yeah. Oh, wow. That's great. What would you say? You said it a few times between the lines there, but what would you say is really the key objective of the open space technology? Like, when would you absolutely use it for, and when absolutely not? You hinted at it a few times, but how would you
Yeah.
summarize that?
So first of all, I would really suggest to use open space technology when there is something that you want to achieve, an outcome, a set of outcomes, not just for events. For events, it's nice, it's beautiful, but the power of it shows when there is something that needs the depth of human creativity, the collective wisdom and creativity that a group of well-convened people can express. And that's amazing. It can be redesigning a product, it can be getting the company out of big trouble, it can be, you name it. It can be defining a new onboarding strategy for talent. And also, of course, it can be part of different kinds of workshops. I'm not saying that you can do everything with open space.
Got it.
But when that is true, when the creativity is really the the game changer, the open space technology is amazing. The other thing is it gets even more useful in my experience when you need commitment after that. So there is action, and you want people that own that decisions, that design, whatever you worked upon, and commit to carrying it forward and make it happen. Open space generates that because people really are feeling free, and so they choose to design the thing together, and that creates, as we know from also other techniques, that creates the ownership and commitment afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I mean, I think we've also seen that at the conference. Is there anything that in the years that you've seen open space technology applied in the EODF setting and context that there's something that really stood out for you that is worth highlighting beyond what you've already shared?
um, I'm radical in this, so at least one time I can remember,
Yeah.
but probably it was more than one time. The whole conference was open space technology, and
Really?
that the whole in Italy
Wow.
that was the case. The whole conference, there was
Wow.
no keynotes, there was nothing, and there were people like Stu Wimbley. There were amazing people, and it was incredible. I really loved
Wow.
that. So for me, that's Stu. It was everything was agreed in the moment, happened in the
Yeah.
moment, including where we're going to dinner. So the whole thing and the energy was incredible. So that is
Wow.
for me that what stands. And to the
Mm,
other extreme, I've seen some of the conferences, because each conference, rightly so, has its own design,
mhm.
where it was squeezed, as I was saying before, and it didn't show the power of it at all.
Mm.
So it was like, well, if that's the case, let's maybe better do another thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Totally get it. Wow, that's yeah, it's actually really good to hear what the almost like the constraints are and the requirements to set that up in the right way. Um, and with that in mind, and conscious of time as well, you use open space technology as well as other techniques and methods, because I've also attended one of your trainings together with Paul on whole scale change, for example, a few months back. But before we have our EODF conference next month, a few days before that, and leading up to that conference, you are co-organizing with your colleagues as well and people from all over the networks of org design, this thing called the Beautiful Work Week. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about that? And also, how does open space technology sort of fit in that? Or perhaps not, I don't know. Like,
It does. It's thank you. It's a beautiful question. I asked myself the question approaching this session with you. I hadn't asked myself the question before. So what's the relationship between what we're saying
yeah,
about open space
exactly.
and Beautiful Work Week? And the
Yeah.
answer is that the Beautiful Work Week was born to be an open invitation. So the idea of the
Mm,
Beautiful Work Week, as it happened with the ODF this year, is
yeah.
we are holding this space for events, in this case, that deal with what makes work beautiful from different perspectives and different walks of life. Do you want to come and make your event part of that? It's not about us promoting the Beautiful Work Week. It's about each of the people that want to bring their own half a day, 1 day, 2 days event in that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's a container driven by an invitation. And what is happening is that this first prototype we're running together in Milan in November has 3 events, and it's already a success because it generated so many conversations with institutions, students, companies, amazing. And now they're asking about the next. So the idea is to
Oh,
make it
amazing.
next year to have more people. So if you that are listening want to have a space in the week with your event, bring it on. That's the beauty of it. It's really
Nice.
an open invitation.
Nice. And can you give a few snapshots of what is it that you're going to, what is it that people could expect? So perhaps there are people who are listening who are actually keep hearing about this bloody EODF conference. I'm about to go. And if you want to come a few days earlier, then you might, be able to join the Beautiful Work Week. So what would they find there?
Thank you. So as I said, this year there are 3 events. The first event on the 13th of November is the opening day. And this is something we want to keep. In the opening day, there are people from all the events sharing panels, sharing conversation. So that opens the week. In fact, there will be you with me, Paul, in a panel on the opening day as well. And
Yeah.
I look forward
Yeah.
to that.
Me too.
The second is this year is going to be the Global Serious Games Fest. So it's a full day of serious games workshops, 2 tracks in parallel. The venue we have this year is beautiful. And I love the fact that it comes from a foundation that works for good, but it's not that big. So we cannot have 5 tracks in parallel. So it's going to be intimate, which is also good. So 2 tracks, 3 tracks in the morning and 3 tracks in the afternoon. I think we have 9 workshops all across the day, and so that's the 14th of November. And of course, if you want to have a look, it's www.beautifulworkweek.com. It's easy. And the third event, of course, is the ODF conference. So the other. The first one that embraced the open invitation actually was EODF when we talked back then in March, and so this is it. The other 2 days are this amazing international space with people coming from all Europe, speaking about going back this year to the roots, or what really should be organizational design, right?
Yeah, and how can we advance that,
Today, of course.
space, advance that field? Yeah, so cool. So I'm also curious, on a more personal note, what makes work beautiful for you from your perspective?
I think that's the fil rouge across this 30. Next year is 30 years that I do this work with different names across time since the internet arrived. I think that what makes work beautiful is that it can be, and in my opinion, it should be, the actualization of what we are as human beings. So
Tell me more. What do you mean?
you can call it talent. You can call it why you were born in the universe. I mean, it costs energy in the universe to make us. And also it's highly not probable. How do you say that? That, you know, the cells combine and you are born. It's a miracle. And we are different. Each of us are different. So our identity, our abilities, our gift to ourselves and to the others need ways to become tangible, to happen. And for me, work is I don't mean just work in the sense that you have an employer that pays you. I mean work as the workings of who you are in the world. And then it should be reciprocal. So there is a reciprocity that can be money, that can be other value to receive. But through that work, you express and actually even evolve as you do it who you are. So that's the actualization, and that's what makes it beautiful. And everybody noticed that. In 30 years, I've always seen it clearly that when that happens, either people start to cry, people start to laugh, people say, this day was amazing, I will never forget it. That moment that happened 1 year ago, I still remember what you said in that moment. When that actualization happens, that beauty happens, it's clear to the eyes of anybody. And beauty also is an interesting concept, because you can take one, I don't know, white male from the technocratic society and one aboriginal woman from Australia. You put both of them in front of a sunset, and both will tell you that it is beautiful. So there is something that is really deep in us that relates with some order of things and resonates with what we call beauty. Beauty is something that touches something deep in us. And when that happens in work, it means that something that actualizes who you are showed at a level that is so deep that you call it beautiful. And that's, for me, this is why I do what I do, basically.
Yeah, that's very deep, eh? It's very
Yeah,
deep.
it's also fun. It's also fun.
With fun socks on. Yeah. By the
I
way,
mean, when you have people 60 years old managers in a board of directors, and they have this hardened people, and then they start to laugh or they start to cry, and you just look at that and say, what the fuck is happening here? That's fun.
Yeah. Or someone starts taking off their clothes, as you said. I mean, it could be many things happening there. But yeah, no, that I love the way that you articulated that. And also the connection with the humanity part, if that makes sense. There's so many roles that we have in life, and also as practitioners in the space of org design, right? We put so many hats on, not just at work or in relation with in a professional setting, but also in people's personal lives. And it's like the constant switching and trying to fit in and managing expectations and stuff like that. At the end of the day, connecting with that thing that we share and that collective humanity, I think is really powerful. I think it also really activates some energy that is within all of us, but we kind of suppress it sometimes. But
I
yeah,
hear you. I hear you. And also, I
nice.
mean, we live in a times in which we are required to cover an increasing number of roles. Even the organizational design is more based on roles. So people can, in the same organization, are
Yeah.
having more hats. Society is getting more nuanced in that. And the
Mhm.
fact that I see, I might be my bias, but I see an increasing number of people in burnout, an
Yeah.
increasing number of people requiring psychological assistance tells something about the distance we have come to have
Mm.
from what we really need as human beings.
Yeah, and reality. Just yeah, to your point, what we really need as human beings, and what we're here for, isn't it, as well?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Gosh, I'm really excited for the 3 weeks from now. Those days we're gonna have in November. What is one thing that you want one of the listeners to take away from this conversation around open space technology and the beautiful work week, and your perception and belief of what makes work beautiful before we wrap up?
So there is the direct answer to your question and also a request for anybody that is listening. The direct answer is that the takeaway is that you are invited in a space that is designed to express yourself and through that probably to enrich yourself. So come for that, not because somebody's going to teach you something or you're going to hear a case. Yeah, you're going to hear beautiful cases, but you can hear them in a book, on YouTube.
Yeah.
But the experience of being such a space is unforgettable. I've lived so many times, many people in the audience as well. So that's the thing. Come to that space that is designed for you to express yourself and to through that to enrich yourself, to grow, to however you want to call that.
Yeah.
For the same reason, hence the request, which is if you know about young people, students, or people that are trying to understand what the hell is happening in the world, bring
Yeah.
them, take them with you, bring them to this space, the whole week, the ODF, it doesn't matter. The principles that the root of that are the same.
Amazing. I really love that. It totally resonates. Yeah, I think what I take away from the first point that you raised there is also, it might be just me, but stepping away from this expectation of quick fixes. We are constantly, in society, there's so much that you can consume. There's so much information out there. There's so much access to resources and information, but the experience, like the human to human connection, and that whatever emerges from that synergy that emerges from bringing people together, um, you can't plan for that. You can't predict that in advance. There's a certain chemistry that happens. You don't really know what kind of reaction would come from on the other side of it when you put all these chemicals together. Like it's just a reaction that comes from that. So, yeah, thanks for highlighting that.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
for your time, Stelio. I'm really excited. I'll see you in 3 weeks, man.
I can't wait really to
Me
share some
too.
life. Yes,
Yeah,
looking
amazing.
forward.
Likewise. So there's the link at the bottom here as well. Thank you for those who tuned in, and yeah, I really hope to see you in 3 weeks in Milan, and I'll definitely see you, Stelio.
Talk soon. See you soon. Bye,
All right.
everybody.
Ciao.
Ciao.